Hi guys, and welcome to this quick video about my New Vegas load order. Those of you who joined me for the live stream where I was testing out ENBs know that I am thinking about trying out Fallout New California, which is a mod that pretty much adds a whole new campaign, whole new character, whole new world area, just a whole new experience. It does, however, require a complete rebuild of my load order. A lot of the mods I'm using are just not compatible and, to be honest, just not applicable. So what I've done is I have reinstalled Fallout New Vegas basically, or at least close enough, and I'm reinstalling the essential mods I will need for that playthrough. Now, those of you who were hoping for a Jack return, I still have not ruled it out. But to be honest, if I bring Jack back, it's going to be to do things like Frontier. And that requires that I rebuild my load order anyway. And the Jack save is very, very old. So you guys know how dangerous that can be. I've got to be careful. I've got to decide which mods to keep, which ones to, ditch. And I will be starting from scratch. I've disabled all those mods that were installed with Nexus Mod Manager, and I will be reinstalling them with a different mod manager, and it is going to take quite some time, so it's a fair ways off. Besides, at the moment what I really want to do is try Fallout New California. Now, if you did join me for the stream, we were testing a lot of ENBs, and realistically, it wasn't a successful test. We found that while some of the ENBs made the game look pretty cool, there was a problem with aliasing. The aliasing was fairly bad, and the only way we found to fix it was to run the game in 4K, which works, but it does also add a bit more of a demand on the system. This was very noticeable on the strip, where even with my system, we were getting like 35 and 40 frames a second. So honestly, it really didn't seem a good idea. Now, I know some people are going to be thinking, yes, but the strip is unique, it's weird, just put up with it, everywhere else will be fine. The thing is we're not playing in the vanilla New Vegas, we're going to be playing in New California, and I'm told that that is a little more demanding. So we've no idea how my system will behave, and I think it's best to go in with a relatively, I wouldn't say vanilla looking game, but a relatively well-performing game, and see how it performs, and then if I think I can add an ENB, I'll add it afterwards. That way the game will look better, rather than starting with the ENB, deciding the performance hits too much, and pulling it midway through a playthrough and making the playthrough...
Starting combat. Just kidding.
Please ignore my underwear. It's very, very, very annoying. Oh, the schoolhouse. I miss the schoolhouse. I do. I miss the schoolhouse. Those of you who've never seen Jack's Let's Play have no idea what I'm talking about. Although, now I'm having sledgehammer flashbacks. So anyway, yeah, right. So, I have decided no ENB, but I'm going to be using New Vegas Reloaded, which doesn't seem to change much out here. Not that I can tell. Apparently it is going to get an update at some point to get better shadows, and honestly, that's the major thing I want. Better ambient occlusion and better shadows. It does make water look a lot more interesting, that's for sure. And it does also add depth of field, but the depth of field is very, very strong and way too much for me. Now, I did actually think about using Dynavision as a visual mod, but when testing Dynavision in the strip, I noticed that Dynavision has a massive performance hit if the place that you're in is CPU locked. So the strip, for example, Dynavision tanked my frame rate just in the strip. Now, Dynavision's done in such a way that it really should have very little effect on your performance. And it doesn't as long as it's your graphics card that's the problem. But if it's CPU, apparently anything that adds to the... I think it's the AI. And the thing is with Dynavision is it does a lot of checking to see if you have line of sight on something. And I think it's hitting the exact same thread that is under pressure in the strip. So in that one area, Dynavision was just killing it. So I don't want to start the game with that either. I'm going to get into the game and then I might do some testing and see if I could add that as well. So there will be some tweaks to the visuals when I'm playing, but I will be starting the game with probably what would almost be considered a vanilla-ish New California run. I say vanilla-ish because of course New California is a mod, but all of the textures you see, all of the lighting, all of the weather will be supplied by that mod. Apparently it does have better textures, it does its own lighting, and it does its own weather, so we'll get to see how they look without something like an ENB, without Dynavision, etc. If you want specifics as to what my load order is going to be, as you can see, I've currently set it up on Vortex. The main reason for that is I will be making some more tutorials for Vortex. So, you know, being on that tool is going to be useful. I may change to another tool at another time if I feel there's any benefit to it. I'm not totally sure I will. You can see the Courier Stash is now a mod. That's all the little mods that add starting weapons and starting armor. I've actually extracted them from the data folder and turned them into a mod so that I could disable it, or in this case never activate it. This way I could have the Jack playthrough, which does use those, but for the New California one I don't want those enabled. I don't really see any point to them, to be honest. I'm using Darn's UI, even though there is a UI tweak for this, for New California, but you can actually have a Darnified version of it. I do like Darn's heads-up display, so I'm using that. I'm using Eve and EXE, which are special effects mods, obviously the main New California mod. I tried out the loot menu, but I've disabled it for now. I may enable it once the playthrough starts. The reason I've disabled it for now is you do need to set up keybinds for it. And you do that in the MCM, so you need to have a save game started. And I can't remember what the keys are for loot menu, but if they interfere with the default ones I've got set, it could make the start of the playthrough a little awkward. So this is something I will probably enable as soon as I'm in game at a convenient point. Manual reload. I may enable that. I haven't decided yet. This is something I do like. That's something that makes it so that you have to manually tell it to reload. It doesn't automatically do it when you run out of ammo. And if you put your weapon away with some shots fired, when you pull the weapon back out, even if you've switched weapons, you still have the missing ammo, which I've always liked. New Vegas Reloaded, as I mentioned. The New Vegas Tick Fix. This is instead of the stutter remover. This is a more lightweight version and does not have some of the problems the stutter remover had, apparently. Obviously, I'm using NVSE. Wouldn't leave home without it. One HUD. Of course, I'm using one HUD. The Pip-Boy 3000 HD retexture so that the Pip-Boy looks a little better. I'm not using a Pip-Boy replacer. You know, one of the ones that makes, like in the Jack playthrough, I had the handheld Pip-Boy. I do like that, but I'm not going to do it for this playthrough. I think the characters in this game actually start in a vault, so probably everybody else has a Pip-Boy on their wrist. Chances are it's going to be more consistent with the lore of the mod that I have one too. Project Nevada. Definitely going to be using this mod. You'll notice it's disabled. The reason I've disabled Project Nevada is twofold. When you start a new game with Project Nevada, it gives you a lot of pop-ups, which can be really annoying during the initial cutscenes. I'm assuming it's going to be the same on New California. I do not want that. The second reason is the default keys set for things like bullet time, grenade hotkeys are not ones that I want, and they will interfere with my default key set. So, Project Nevada, I'm going to, once again, once I'm in game, at some convenient point, enable the mod, set up the hotkeys, and then continue. But at the start, there will be no Project Nevada. It's a weird thing for me to do at the start of a game, but there you go. Robco certified. This was one of the mods suggested on the mod page if you're going to do a science playthrough. I don't know what that means, but I thought maybe I'll do a science playthrough, so I'll run Robco certified. I've never actually used that mod, so maybe it's a good chance to get to know this mod. Don't know what a science playthrough is. Could be fun. So I've installed this. I've also downloaded a copy of the Solid project, which they really do highly recommend, although I can't find much about this mod because it's no longer officially supported on Nexus. It's been removed. I'm unsure as to why. So I'm not 100% sure what on earth this mod does. Whenever I Google it, all I find is a lot of discussions as to where you can find it and how it's such a great mod. So I need to do a bit more looking into this before I enable it. So that's probably one of the next things I'm going to do. Mod configuration menu, obviously, don't leave home without it. Weapon mod menu, they didn't mention this in the mod list they suggested, but I think this is probably one I'll want. I have not installed it yet. I've got a UI compatibility patch between Darnified and Revelation, which is the UI mod they generally use in Fallout California, apparently. I'm using UIO, which merges all the heads-up display things. Weapons animation replacer because, I want the weapons. I want the weapon animations. Weaponry texture project, this was one that they recommended, and weapons of the new millennium. This is more or less all of the things they suggested, and it's what I would consider a sort of baseline for New California. It feels a bit strange not having a mod that replaces the textures, but there you go. I will almost certainly add more mods as I go. I say almost certainly, maybe I don't need to. Maybe I'll be happy playing this sort of bare bones situation. I mean, I did the same with Enderall. I played with very few mods, so maybe I won't need to actually add any mods beyond loot menu and Project Nevada once the game starts. So that's what I'll be running. Can't tell you when the playthrough is going to be. Can't even tell you when I'm going to start playing it, to be honest. I do have some other things I'm going to be doing as well. It will be a way away, okay? It's obviously I've got the Skyrim playthrough on right now and the Metro playthrough on, and they're not going to finish anytime soon as of the time of releasing this video. So please don't be holding your breath or you will not be alive when I release the playlist, which would be bad. Both for you and for me. Obviously, I won't get the views. That's awful. That is awful. I have just prioritized my getting a view over you basically breathing. Just don't hold your breath is what I'm saying. And I'm going to stop now. Thanks for listening.